Bitcoin is going to top in September, this basically has to do with two factors. It has to do with the crypto market cycle, and specifically Bitcoin cycle, and it also has to do with the liquidity cycle. So starting with the Bitcoin cycle, this is a post from Brandt, who's a really well-known trader. He trades Bitcoin as well, obviously, and he basically is arguing here, explaining that, like, if you actually look at the previous cycles and you look at the time between tops or time between bottoms, like regardless of whether it's time between tops, time between bottoms, time from halving, based on his analysis, his detailed analysis, he believes that Bitcoin is likely to top sometime between September 15th and September 28th, and the range for the top is somewhere between 125,000 to 145,000. And this might sound crazy, and I'm sure some people in the comments will be saying, oh no, like it's not possible, like Bitcoin's going to go much higher or whatever. But the thing is, guys, it's easy to forget that, like, when you look at Bitcoin here, we're looking at Bitcoin on the weekly chart. Two things to note here. The first is that Bitcoin has already been rallying a lot over the last couple of years here. You could say almost 2 years now, and you can make the argument that Bitcoin's breakout started basically back in late 2024. You could say that's when like the real breakout started, and that we are now entering kind of like this final breakout that leads to the cycle top. And what's really simple, guys, actually, we can even measure here. We could say that in this range that Bitcoin was chopping in before, it was somewhere around, let's say, 80,000 at the lower range, upper range here somewhere around 110,000. The difference between those two levels is around 30,000. So that would take the Bitcoin cycle top, again, assuming this trend line holds and we don't get some move lower in September, which a lot of people are calling for. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to focus on why I believe that Bitcoin is going to top in September. So anyways, again, the difference between these two levels, that's $30,000. So with Bitcoin now breaking above this $110,000 level, that suggests that that we basically add 30,000 to that, and that would give us a Bitcoin cycle top of somewhere around 140,000, which is consistent with Brandt's call. So that's one thing. The second thing has to do with, again, this global liquidity cycle. I guess without getting too detailed, guys, the global liquidity cycle, at least according to Michael Howell, I know there's like some mixed opinions on Michael Howell, but I do think that his framework of looking at liquidity cycles through the lens of debt refinancing, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's basically that, like, every 4 to 5 years, institutions have to roll over their debts. This basically forces central banks to create additional money, additional liquidity for all these institutions to roll over their debts, and this basically results in a liquidity drain. They inject liquidity so that institutions can refinance, and you have like a liquidity boom, and then the refinancing wall comes again. And according to Michael Howell, that refinancing wall comes in 2026. I'll explain why this is kind of spoiler for tomorrow's video about why I think the crypto market is likely to crash in November and December. But anyways, point being is that global liquidity, according to Michael Howell, and even according to various M2 measures, which I'm sure you guys have seen, global liquidity is likely to peak sometime in Q3.